this was something that was astounding when trying to make this conversion out of Orthodoxy. That I've got so many questions. I was in college and I was in graduate school in chemistry. And so the priest who brought me into Orthodoxy, explained it to me. He said that, what happens is that what we experience with our saints are two things after they die. One is common, one's less common. The common one is that their their bodies will decompose, but their bones will not. And so their
Mm.
bones are in a state of corruption and incorruption. They give off a fragrance and they will work miracles. And then he said, then we have some saints for reasons that only God knows, that their bodies don't decompose after they die. Okay.
Yeah.
And so here I had this very physical, tangible proof. I'm a scientist, really. At the core, I'm a scientist. I need proof, right? I need to see. Um, and so this was very powerful for me, looking at our Orthodox Christian faith, as someone who is, trying to understand it and considering becoming Orthodox. This was his proof of the resurrection. It's proof of
Mm.
Jesus, and it's proof of the kingdom of heaven. It's proof of everything that I wanted to lay my hands on, but just seemed like everything was just kind of ethereal. There was no substance to it. But now I had some proof, physical proof
Yeah.
for me.
I was gonna ask you that. That was a question I had, is how are saints proven? And so is that typically, like, we don't know until after they pass?
But here's the interesting thing, we as a church, we recognize saints and we canonize them, okay? Um, and for example, I don't know why, but God has been very gracious to me and I've been around living saints. Um, and when you're around somebody who is holy, it's something else. It's peace like you can't describe. It's, things happen. Okay. I mean,
Mhm.
marvelous things happen. I mean, um, but we have a lot of saints the church doesn't even know about, right? There's a
Interesting.
really sweet book, which, I encourage everybody to read. It's called Everyday Saints.
Okay.
And it's stories of just everyday things that happen. The stories take place in Russia. Um, But there are plenty of people who are saints that aren't recognized by the church, that God recognizes. And
Mhm.
that is the most important thing of all, that God recognizes it. We
Yeah.
don't need to be uplifted, in front of people and to, have everyone sing our praises. In fact, Saint Nectarios, for example, his body was incorrupt for many years and his body finally started to decay. And one of these nuns at the monastery, was just grieving over the fact that his body was now decomposing, and she thought it was this, terrible thing.
Mm.
And Saint Nectarius said, "No, it's not a terrible thing." He says, "Because now that my body is decomposing, I'll be able to have my bones will be able to be spread throughout the world so I can help people." you know?
Wait, how do
And
we know he said this?
well, he appeared to her and said it.
Okay, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Wow, right, and then right, that's how the different parishes have the relics of him now?
Yes. So you would think, that this would be better to be incorrupt, right? But he's like, "No." But wouldn't
Mm,
that make you a bigger saint? And like, they don't care about that, right? The
right.
saint doesn't care about being recognized.
Yeah.
In fact, they would rather not be recognized. They want Christ to be recognized. Their everything about a saint is about God. It's not about them. It's
Mhm.
not about them. But yet God glorifies them because they glorified him.
So
So
that was
God
my
will
next
reveal you
question.
when he wants. What's that?
That was my next question. What does it mean that God is glorified in his saints?
Well, because the saints bring all the glory to God. All the miracles that the saints do is all because of Christ. Nothing else.